This is Nan McKay, and this is a story of Gordon Firemark. Gordon specializes in entertainment law, particularly intellectual property. In LA and around the country, he is the theater lawyer with well rounded experience in this area. He's also the author of the podcast blog and New Media Producers Legal Survival Guide. So, Gordon, how has COVID 19 affected you and your business?
Well, first off, Nan, thank you for having me. Let me just say that, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to share my thoughts on this today. Um, because I work in the entertainment industry, and a lot of the work that I do is with people who are doing live performances and shows where this is the stuff that's really been shut down, and it was among the first things that were shut down. But movie production can't happen; people are congregating, and so on that side of my business, it has had a tremendous impact. That everything has just gone complete radio silence, and when that happens, of course, the money stops flowing in as well, and that makes us concerned about our mortgage payments and things like that. And I'm fortunate to say, I quite some time ago, I realized I needed to diversify a little bit what I do. And so, as you mentioned in the introduction, I do podcasting and digital media kinds of things as well. And that's an area that's actually, I won't say booming, but it's, the bumps are smaller when something like this happens, because this is work that introverts do from their own homes. I mean, I've got my home studio here. This is where I work every day, whether it's COVID-19 time or not. And so the podcasters, the media producers who are doing this kind of stuff are not really directly impacted in their ability to do their work. Some of them have, gone in their shells and are riding out the storm, but many are taking it as an opportunity, and myself included, taking this as an opportunity to do more and create more and be more visible in the space, and just ramp things up in certain ways. And myself, I also do some work in the coaching and personal development space, and helping creating courses and online products and things like that. So for me, it's been an opportunity to get a little more focused on those things and spend a little more time right here at the desk thinking about that, working at it, and so on. But most importantly for me, I mean, look, I have my fears and concerns. I certainly don't want to get sick. I don't want anybody in my family to get sick. And so we are taking it seriously, and doing our part by staying close to home. I have one daughter who has a very, fairly serious compromised immune system. She's 9 years old, and so we worry every day, what happens if one of us gets it? What happens if it comes into this house? But you can't live in that fearful place. You got to go and have some faith and some confidence and a belief that everything's going to be okay, and maybe even better after all this is done. I've been able to, sort of point to things like what's happening in the environment. And here in Los Angeles, where I live, we've got some of the cleanest air in the country. Now, whoever would have thought that LA would be able to say that? So maybe some of us will change our behaviors, and some of this can work out for the better in the long run. That's sort of my approach to staying positive.
I think one of the people that I talked to said this may be a great time for the earth to have a reset.
Yeah.
And I think of your LA freeways. That's probably very true because we haven't got the pollution, we haven't got the smog going on.
Right. It really is remarkable, and if I go out into my front yard, I can look and see the mountains in the distance, and it's much clearer than I ever remember seeing it. So that's exciting and uplifting, and something to be positive about. And you know yeah, the earth, it's amazing how the earth bounces back. I mean, it's only been what, 4 or 5 weeks of this, and the earth is showing us what it's capable of, how capable it is of healing itself. And so maybe we, the humans, are sort of the blight on the earth, actually.
We probably are. So,
Well, we should think about that and change our behavior a bit.
and I guess that's one of the things that I'm thinking about is how do you think we will make some changes as a result of this?
Well, I do think everybody's a little more in touch with the frailty of life, and maybe we'll all be able to come together to embrace that a little bit and take better care of ourselves and each other. I don't hold a lot of hope for that. I mean, we live in a very politically divisive time, and me first mentality is pretty common, but maybe this is just a little bit of, as you said, a little bit of that reset that will get at least some of us thinking a little differently about things. And so I'm trying to spread a message of positivity and hope, and actually enthusiasm for the future. And we each have to do our own little part.
So how are you getting along with your kids? How are your kids surviving this?
Kids are really resilient. My kids, hey, they love their screens anyway, right? So this is their chance to do school on screens. And while they aren't loving having to sit down and do their math or their reading or whatever, they're doing okay. And I'm impressed with how self-directed about it they are. My wife and I are both working and trying to keep things going, and they sit down and they do the work. They need a little attention. My kids are 7, 9, and 11, or I'm sorry, 8, 10, and almost 12. They just had 2 birthdays in the last month or two. So, yeah, they're doing okay. We're all feeling a little cabin fever. In fact, just before our call, because I knew I was going to need some quiet, I had to send them outside. I think basically, go play in the street, kids, because they had so much energy they needed to burn. And so, we're having to be mindful about that and get out and walk the dog, and get the sunshine on our faces and things like that. Um, for me personally, it's having all these other people in the house all the time is a challenge for me to get my work done, and my focus is less than it usually is anyway, just because of all the other stuff that's weighing on us. But we're making do, getting things done.
I haven't talked to anybody else about this, but it makes me think about shopping for some reason. And
Mhm.
how do you think this is going to make a difference in our shopping habits and the stores that may close up as a result of it? I mean, shopping centers have already been a little compromised.
Yeah, yeah. That's a great question. I worry that the main street mom and pop kinds of stores will close and never reopen. Walmart and Target and those
Yeah.
companies, and Amazon, of course, they're all going to weather this just fine. They've got the bankroll and the backstops to take care of themselves. But yeah, small businesses, I think, are suffering, and um, I don't want to call on the government to do more, but maybe that's one solution. I think all of us can look at this and say, once we're sort of through this, I'm going to choose to vote with my dollars and support those local businesses, because these are our communities, and um, it all impacts us one way or the other. If the small businesses in our neighborhoods close, then we end up paying more for things, and we end up having just a less diversity. I mean, we live in a world of relatively little diversity in the stores and things that are out there. You go down any mall in any part of the country, you see the exact same stores, and that's kind of a shame. Um, so yeah, mom and pop businesses, I think that's where we're going to see the impact the most dramatically.
What advice do you have for people? If this goes on until I just read something today that says that, we may be almost the end of the year before some of this goes on. It worries me about things like funding the post office.
Yeah.
I worry about voting, those kinds
Mhm.
of issues. What do you think it portends for us if this goes on?
Well, I mean, all of these things are things that they'll work themselves out. It may not be perfect, it may not even be good, some of the ways they work out, but eventually they will work out. And if it doesn't work right this time, then there'll be the next chance, and we'll have to fix things. And that is sort of the nature of progress. Having some disruption isn't always a terrible bad thing. But yeah, I worry that the post office, but maybe the post office is a little bit obsolete. I mean, they've been having less and less mail volume for the last 20 years or so. And so, maybe there are, I don't love the idea of defunding or preventing the post office from getting a bailout when we're willing to give giant banks bailouts. But yeah, the voting situation, it's unfortunate that I think there are some folks on both sides of the political spectrum that are capitalizing on this situation to advance an agenda that probably isn't good for the greater good. It may, short-term benefits to one or the other political party or something like that, but in the long run, I don't think we're all going to be the better for it on that front. So again, it comes down to us as individuals speaking our mind and doing our part, and get out the vote in November, whatever it takes. If you can't leave the house to vote, then speak up and make it happen some other way. Or I don't know, maybe. Well, like I said, people will figure it out. Where there's a will, there's a way, and like nature, humanity has a way of healing and continuing too.
I think that's true. Do you have any other tips or advice that you could give to people, or anything you're doing that's a little different?
Well, uh, you know, I don't consider myself a religious man, but I do consider myself to be somewhat spiritual. And my form of spirituality is really just trying to maintain a positive belief in the future and the possibility and the inevitability of my success and our health and those kinds of things, but also a gratitude practice. I think that it can be very calming and reducing of anxiety and helpful just to a couple times a day stop and literally stop and smell the roses. What do I have that I can be grateful for? We're so focused on all this negative stuff. If you stop and take a minute and say, you know what, the sun came out today and it was beautiful and it made me feel warm and it helps the plants grow, and that's how we get our food supply. You can sort of start to let that snowball a little bit. There was fresh air, there was a nice cool breeze, and we have clean air to breathe, we have fresh water to drink. you know I have my family and their health and pets that love us, and my dog. The moment I walk into the room, this dog is so excited to see me. It makes you feel good. So finding the gratitude and meditating on it for a moment or two really is good for the soul and the spirit.
That sounds like really good advice. I sometimes am amazed as I walk outside and I look at the birds doing what they normally do, and the
Mhm.
the plants are all leafing out, and I
Yeah.
think to myself, gosh, don't they know that we're in a crisis mode? And I think, no, they don't. Everything is just going on as normal in their
Mhm.
world.
Yep. It's springtime.
It's springtime. Well, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us.
Well, thanks for giving me the opportunity, Nan. It's been fun.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you're finding some online things to take up some of the slack a little bit. And
Yeah, one of the things that I'm really having fun doing is jumping on Facebook Live every single day at noon here Pacific time, just to share some uplifting ideas or thinking, or maybe educate people on something that they ought to know and that'll help, and really trying to get people to do their thing, whatever their thing might be, online in a more public way, and to sort of kick the fear aside and just do it for the sake of doing it, because that's why I work with performing artists and creative people, and the act of creation is its own reward for them. But if you put it out there and let other people see it, there are other rewards that come from that. So that's me trying to get out there and be visible.
how could people join in on that?
Just look for me on Facebook. Gordon P. Firemark is the page where I do this stuff, and I'm easy to find. Firemark is a pretty unusual name, Firemark. So
That sounds great. We'll do that. Thank you so
nice.
much.
Thank you.